Hello, class. We're about to start section 1-3. It's all about style. Okay, now, according to our syllabus, we have to do page 32, problems 3 through 6, page 35, problems 1 through 5, and page 38, 15 through 17. So now, we go over here to page 32, and we have here at the top, it says, a bar graph is a visual way to compare the sizes of different values. Pie charts are great for comparing parts to a whole. Bar graphs are effective for comparing parts to other parts. In a bar graph, the length of each bar gives an indication of how the size of a quantity compares to other related quantities. The bar graph below shows the percentage of global internet users that visit the top 5 most visited sites in the world. Just by looking at the heights of the bars, we can see how the percentages for these sites compare. By looking more closely at the scale on the vertical axis, we can get a good estimate of the actual percentage for each of the top 5 sites. Okay, now we look here at number 3. It says, which site has the highest daily reach? And then it also asks what percentage of internet users go to that site on an average day. Okay, if we look here, the tallest bar belongs to Google. So our first answer here would be Google. Now it says what percentage of internet users go to that site on an average day. So we look here at Google. It's just short of 50%. So we could look at either 48% or maybe even 49%. You would pick one of these values. Okay, now, number 4. Which is higher, Google's daily reach or the combined daily reach for YouTube and Yahoo? So, if we look at YouTube and Yahoo, YouTube is about, let's say, 32%. Yahoo is about, it almost looks as though it's close to half, but not quite. So we could say about 23%. So when we add these together, we would get 55%. So YouTube and Yahoo have a higher combined percentage over Google. Because remember, Google was at 49%. So YouTube and Yahoo have a higher combined percentage. Now we come here to number 5. It says, I did some poking around on the internet and found that in the average day, about 690 million people visit Facebook. Based on Facebook's daily reach, how many people access the internet each day? Okay, so they tell us about 690 million people visit Facebook, and it says based on Facebook's daily reach, how many people access the internet each day. So basically, we're saying here, Facebook is basically at about 40. If we go here, Facebook is about 42%. So if we have 42% of the total internet reach is equal to 690 million. Now, we would divide both sides. Well, first we'll change this 42% to a decimal. So it'll be 0.42 x is equal to 690 million. Now we'll divide these side by 0.42. And when we put this in our calculator, this will give us approximately 1,642,857,143 if we do round into the nearest whole number. Okay, now number 6. I also found out that an estimated 3.3 billion people are internet users. What do you think accounts for the big discrepancy between the number and your answer to question 5? Okay, question 5 was an estimate. And will give you a different answer than the actual amount. Okay, now the next problem we will have to go to is on page 33. Let me remove this. Go right here to page 33. Our next problem is problem number 7. It says, use your learning style scores from question 1 to draw a bar graph by creating a rectangle for each style with height corresponding to your score for that style. Now, with number 7, the problem with number 7 is we're not actually doing that. So we need to get rid of problem number 7 and we will move on to the next problem. Now we go here to page 35 and we have to do problems 1 through 5. Okay, it says the Harris Interactive Polling Agency surveyed 2,094 consumers in October of 2012, asking which former president they would most enjoy having a burger with. The top 4 vote getters are summarized in the bar graph. Which former president had the highest percentage and what was the percentage? The highest percentage according to the bar graph was Clinton. And if you look here, this is a little short of half between 20 and 25, but so that would be about 22% for the amount, the percentage. Now we look here at number 2. How many of the respondents would most enjoy having a burger with the most popular choice? So what you would need to do is this here. We have how many people took the survey, which is 2,094, and we will multiply by the percentage that we got for Bill Clinton. So we would take 2,094 times 0.22, which would be approximately 461. Now it says, which 2 presidents tied in the poll? If you look here, the 2 presidents that tied in the poll was Reagan and also Kennedy. Number 4, how many people chose a president not in the top 4? Okay, so basically this is what you would need to do. We know that it's 2,094 people that took the survey. So what we would need here is for them to have all picked the top 4, they would have to be 100%. So let's add this up. So Reagan, we can see here Reagan is about 13%. We have Clinton, which we said was about 22%. Lincoln looks like it's exactly 15%. And Kennedy and Reagan are the same, so that's about 13%. So we need to add all of these up, and we would get, what's that? 13, carry a 1. So that would be 63%. So now, in this poll here, we only had 63% of the respondents. So basically, we would take 100% minus the 63%, which would give us 37%. This is the percentage of people that picked the president that was not in the top 4. So now we would need to take our 37% and multiply it to the 2,094. So we'll change that to a decimal. and then we will multiply it. So I will put this into my calculator. So I would have 2094 times 0.37, and that would give me 774.78. But remember, we cannot have 0.78 of a person, so our final answer would be approximately 775. Okay, now it says the yearly net income or loss for Ford Motor Company from 2007 to 2011 is shown in the next graph. Describe how Ford performed in 2008 in terms of profit or loss. Okay, so if you look at 2008, they have a loss of $15 billion. And then we're supposed to look at 2010. If you look at 2010, it's going up, it's a positive 7. So it was a gain of $7 billion in 2010. Now we will move on to page 38. We have to do problems 15 through 17. So let's go on to page 38. Now for comparisons involving more complicated data, a clustered bar graph can be used. This allows us to compare data values for information in multiple categories on one graph. The sample below illustrates the daily trade volume for 3 large tech companies on the NASDAQ market for a 5-month period in 2015. Now, if we look here at problem 15, it says which company had the greatest variance in trade volume over the period? Write a sentence. Now, if you look here, Apple would be the first bar, Microsoft is the second, and Intel is the third. If you look at Apple, out of all these, Microsoft and Intel basically almost stayed the same. But it was Apple that went up and down and had more volatility or more variance in the price. So it'll be Apple, and you could put down the price fluctuated more than Microsoft or Intel. Now 16, which company had the most consistent trade volume? Now if you look here, now you know Apple is out because that had the most change in their price. So we look here at Microsoft and Intel. Intel actually stayed the most consistent of the value. So we would say Intel, and the price did not change as much as Apple or Microsoft. Now for problem 17, which company had the lowest number of overall shares traded during that period? Now, when they ask this question, it's almost a little tricky. But if you look here, Microsoft has been consistently lower than all the rest. It was only one time in August that Microsoft was a little higher than Intel, but not much. But if you notice, in every other spot, it was lower than Intel and Apple. So it'll be Microsoft. They ask, how can you tell? Has lower bar graph in almost every month. That is basically it. So if you have any additional questions, please email me or we could talk on Big Blue Button when we meet for our class meeting. Have a wonderful day.